First, I will share one video of JK, and then Harshad Parekh sir will comment on that, and then other participants can share their comments or their views.
How can one come to this tent without a motive, a desire to come here? To listen to you, I must have a motive to come here. How does one live without motives? Why do you want to be without motives? Who told us that we must have motives? If you have heard the speaker say motives are very destructive, then you are merely repeating what he has said. But if we could together find out what is motive, what is the significance of motive, why we have motives, not say we mustn't have it, but if we discover its meaning, then we can keep with it. We can have them or not have them. But if you say that the speaker has said one mustn't have motives, and therefore how am I to live without motives? That's a wrong question altogether. So let's find out together what is a motive. Why we have motives? Why? We are not saying we must not have them. We are saying why do we have them? The meaning of that word motive means motion. To move. That is to make us move. One comes to this tent with a motive, obviously. That is, the motive is to listen to somebody. And so you come. But you have never questioned what is your motive, why you have that motive, why you have that desire. And if you are not clear about desire and motive, then you have to inquire, what is my intention coming here? Right? Either to be helped, we all want to be helped. It's all our pain, anxiety, misery, all the terrible things we live with. And unless we go into it rather deeply, together, not together, then you have all the time motives. A motive is a direction. Right? I have a motive to come here. My motive is for various reasons. Which is what? I've already set the brain has set a direction. Right? To understand this man, or to say, oh, he's a stupid man, he doesn't know what he's talking about. To criticize, to accept, to obey, to contradict, all that is occupying your mind, the brain. Therefore, you are not listening. Right? Listening is an art, as we talked about it the other day. To listen to somebody with all your being. Not to interpret what he says. But if you listen, that's the greatest miracle. Whereas if you have a motive, you can't listen. Right? Simple as that. And if one has a desire, which is part of the motive, why are we slave to desire? You see, we don't inquire. We accept, I have a desire to come here. We don't say, why have I desire? What is desire? You understand? Drive, push, inquire, doubt. What is desire? We went and talked about it the other day. We'll go into it briefly. Desire is born out of sensation. Right? I want to come to this tent, because I'll meet my friends. I haven't seen them for a year. It's a good opportunity for me to meet them. And I will also listen to the cave. I will also mountain scenery. I'll have a good time. And the talks will be thrown in. That's part of our desire. Desire is it not? No, I won't tell you. What is desire? Not that we are saying we shouldn't have desire, or suppress desire, or encourage desire. Desire to fulfill, desire to become something, outwardly and inward. So, desire, what is desire? To go into that, one must ask, what is sensation? Right? How does sensation arise? Right? Through seeing something, a beautiful chalet, nice bathrooms and all the rest of it, and a lovely view, the chalet seeing it brings a sensation. Right? That's natural. And also then, thought says, I wish I owned that chalet. Right? Which is what? Thought giving shape to sensation. Thought giving an image of yourself in that house. Clear? Right? At that moment when thought brings the image of you in that house, at that second desire is born. Right? Clear? Are we? Right? So desire is given shape, sensation thought gives sensation to desire. Thought creating the image. You in the car, you owning that picture, or seeing a beautiful man, woman, and so on. Then thought creates the image out of that sensation. At that second, desire is born. This is quite simple if you see this. It doesn't require tremendous brains. And then the question is, can sensation and thought, with its image of sense, kept apart for a while? You understand? Not immediately take shape. You've understood? There's a chalet the other day I saw, a stad. Very nice, beautiful, old, modernized inside, and everything as it should be. You looked at it. You live in a flat in one of the big cities and you say, my God, I wish I had that chalet. I'm not wishing personally, but one wishes. And desire then works to achieve that chalet, buy that chalet, or becomes envious. You know, all the process goes on. Right? Now, the seeing that chalet is a sensation. Right? Seeing the good taps, the bathtub, the showers, dining room, you know, the whole modern kitchen, and you don't have to wash dishes. You put it, you know, all that goes on. Then thought comes and says, I wish I could live there. Or rent it out. I can get a lot more money, especially in the winter. All that is instantaneous, you understand? It's not, there's no interval between sensation and thought giving shape to that sensation, right? Now, is it possible to keep them apart for a while? You understand? That requires great attention to see sensation and thought immediately giving a shape to it. And to watch thought, the quickness of thought. And to slow down that thought. You understand? So that the slowing down and the sensation, if one watches it carefully, desire has its place, right? Well, I've gone into it. Now, we have motives. Motive to get rich, motive to be happy, motive to fulfill, desire to have one's roots, to identify oneself with something. This is the everyday business of one's life. And the motive is always changing. Therefore, motive gives shape to our life, right? Desire, motive, and so on. So the past, see it, so the past is giving shape to our life, right? The motive is the past. You understand? So the past, which is the motive, which is giving a direction, is giving the mold of our life. Right? Therefore, we are the past. Yeah, of course. The past is memory. Right? Which is tradition, all the rest of it. So we are the past. We are memory. Whole series of memories, bundle of memories. And that is the self, the ego. Conscious, and the other thing is unconscious. There's no unconscious, there is only total consciousness, not breaking it up. That's the unconscious and conscious. I won't go into that. So, to break this cycle is to understand time. You understand? Which we went into. But as we have motives, which has almost become normal in our life, how can one live without a motive? And we have accepted motives. We never question our motives or invent new motives or justify one's own motives. Yes? But we never go into this whole question of desire, motive, and fulfillment. Right? So, that brings us to the point, can one listen so completely to another, not interpret what the other fellow is saying, or the woman, but to listen so completely, not only hearing with the ear, but also hearing with the inner ear, as it were, so that you are giving total attention. Where there is attention, you don't have to have motive. Right?
Harshad Parekh, sir. Please unmute yourself.
Yes, yeah. Okay, are you able to hear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Good evening, friends. Today I am requested to make some comments, to select this video and make some comments. And this video is about motive. A person asked Krishnaji, is it possible to live without motive? And Krishnaji immediately asked, why do you want to live without motives? Maybe because Krishnaji sometimes says that one can live without motive, but I think we all have motives. Even the person who came to listen to Krishnaji had a motive to listen to Krishnamurti, visit maybe Switzerland, Sun, and meet his old friends and enjoy the beauty of nature. So I too used to go to Ojai, and I had also the motive to listen to Krishnamurti and to enjoy the beauty of nature. And while listening, if we listen very, very attentively, then some change or transformation happens. So this is the art of listening to someone who is speaking very slowly, very clearly, and speaking from the heart, like Krishnamurti, from the direct insight Krishnaji is speaking. And so similarly, if listeners can also listen with silence, without interpreting, without the mind getting distracted, then something goes directly from the speaker to the listener, and some changes may start happening in the life of the listener. So it is like a lamp is ignited by another lamp. So that attention, listening, this is a part of Krishnamurti's teachings, that how do we do anything. But let us come to this motive, that everybody has a motive when parents send their children to schools. Parents have a motive. Maybe children don't like to go to school, but they have to go. And then they have a motive to get good marks and pass examinations, get a good job, and so on. So there is a motive. Even I think maybe Krishna ji was doing some yoga with a motive that yoga and pranayam will help the body keep young and healthy. So all of us have motives, whether we admit it or not. And I have a motive to listen to music or to go for a walk in the park, like that. And anything which helps us in quieting down our mind, that is good, and that motive. But something which came to my mind, that this idea of not having motive, isn't that also a kind of a motive? That do we have a motive not to have any motive? So there is some kind of paradox is here. It is better to accept that we do have motive, but when we have the motive to listen to Krishna ji, how do we listen? Or to music, or to when we look at a tree or a flower or a face or a cloud or a star, what is the state of our mind which is listening, which is looking? And that is why this Krishna ji always talked about attention, not about listening only, but also looking and learning. So, and in this video, Krishna ji talks about whether how desire comes. When you see something very beautiful, then Krishna ji is telling that first you see something beautiful like a house or a car, and then you maybe touch it, then there is a sensation, and then there is a thought which is born, which says that I wish I can have that car or a house like that. And then Krishnaji is asking a question, that can there be an interval between sensation and thought arising, a desire arising. But then Krishnaji is asking this question, but we can't decide to make the interval longer between the sensation and the thought, because our normal conditioning is that thought comes very quickly. And but only when we begin to experiment with what Krishnamurti is telling in our daily life, when we go for a walk or when we look, and then all these questions which Krishnaji is asking, those questions become our questions, very vital question. Then maybe when we look something beautiful, we see it beautiful and we don't have a desire to possess it. And I feel many times very beautiful things in the shop, but I don't have the desire to buy it, bring it to my room, and saying that I want to keep it in my room. I say let it be wherever it is. So I don't like to fill up my room with many beautiful things. Very few necessary things is enough. So this kind of interval, this kind of having no desire to possess, it can happen when we feel that there is something within us which itself gives a fulfillment to our life, that we don't need very beautiful house or a very expensive car or many expensive things. But the real happiness, real treasure is buried within us when we don't desire so many things which are there, because the world is full of beautiful things, and you can't keep on buying everything. And even if you buy all those things and put it in your room, it will get crowded, and then it's not good to have a room crowded with many things, and similarly a mind crowded with too many thoughts. So there needs to be a space in the room as well as in the mind to really enjoy, look at the beautiful things without the desire or motive to possess it. And this is the real, it can happen, I think, when we are very clear and we feel happy with whatever we have and we don't compare with other people. So, let me see if there is anything. And about listening to Krishnamurti, and similarly, listening to our own self is much more important, because we can listen to Krishnamurti for a few minutes, but our mind is going on all the time, chattering. So when our mind, the attention is focused on our own thinking, then whatever thinking or what is unfolding, we can see it very quickly. And then one can move with this what is, whatever thoughts are arising. So it is like moving on the crest of a wave. And that means you are moving with the wave. So there is no interval between the thinker and the thought, or the observer and the observed. And in that, there is a great beauty in just moving with what is, and not separating and say that I want this or I don't want this, like that. So, okay, I think I maybe let other people whoever wants to speak. Thank you.
Are you able to hear my voice?
Yes.
Thank you, Harshad sir.
Yeah.
My views here are on the subject. One basically is inadequate. He has got limitations. Means he is either fragmented or divided. So, say there is always an energy surge towards non-duality with all senses. There is always an energy surge towards non-duality with all senses. Yes, motive is a direction. So also passion. Motive may be because of conditioning of competition, comparing, evolution, greed, born because of others are having such a desire. You see it and you just copy it. So that is possible. So it comes under motive. Whereas passion is something which is an inner phenomena, which cannot be cultivated. But this can be cultivated. Motive can be cultivated. So motive is a direction. Is a direction. Now one has individual traits, psychological parameters, etc., and accordingly intention is created or born. Intention is total, and subtle desires covers. Intention is total, and subtle desires covers intellect, emotions, and feelings all together, but having main share of intellect, which also help in deciding direction. So in my views, desire may be born of a sensation, but the outer actuality and inner reality of a person both together give quality to the sensation. This, suppose I like say rabdi, but whereas other people may not like rabdi, or I like gulab jamun, other people may not like gulab jamun. So both together make the quality of a sensation. Thought only breeds, fuels, or enhances the motive. Now JK says it requires great attention to see sensation and thought immediately taking, giving, and a shape to it. And to avoid the thought, the quickness of thought, and to slow down the thought so that the slowing down and the sensation, if one watches it carefully, desire has its place. Means here he is talking of attention, but in my views, understanding the total process and wisdom is more important than attention. And after understanding only, wisdom can keep motive in right place. Otherwise, you may be having motive, you may be having attention, but how to reduce the speed or intensity of that motive? That requires real understanding and wisdom. Again, here the individuality comes into picture. In Gita, Krishna explained the Nishkam Karma Yoga. In Gita, Krishna explained the Nishkam Karma Yoga, which in my views is very close to no motive. Now, JK had spoken upon slowing down the thought, but in my views, it is like a process and is difficult for general persons. Harshad sir has also pointed out that it's a paradox. Yes, it is possible when one is having detachment, complete detachment, or say vairagya. In tradition, it is has been told as vairagya. So if vairagya is there, then you may not be having any motive, because you have already either means enjoyed the full life or fulfilled your all desires, or otherwise there is no surge of that such desire, and which is born out of which is you are having such a condition since you are uh, born. So this is what I have to say right now. Then we will see. Thank you.
Maybe Pradeep Ji would like to.
Pradeep ji is, I am not finding Pradeep ji, sir.
Okay. So Prasad Ji, Prasad Mulupuri.
One minute. I will unmute him. Prasad sir, unmute please.
Sir, namaskar. I have a small doubt which Harshad ji may hear. That is, Krishna ji is talking of both motives and desires together. Motive is also a kind of desire. That is what I understand from the video. But is there any difference at all between motives and desires? That is my question. Motives are from your inside. Desires arise from sensation. You have a sensation first. From that, thought enters into that sensation, and then desire is born. You see, that is the example he is giving very often. Some car or something you see first, that is the sensation. Then you get into the feeling that how nice it would be if I own that car, if I drive that car, things like that. That is the stage at which desire is born. So desire seems to be from the present. Motive seems to be from the past. Maybe this is a valid distinction or it may not be. That is what I want Harshad ji to clarify. Whether that distinction which I am suggesting is valid. So,
yes, yeah, may I say? Or would you like to continue?
I am continuing, sir.
Yeah,
you
continue.
You can clarify after I finish.
Yeah, okay.
That is one thing. Then, of course, motives, we all have motives. And motives come in the way of perception. You can't listen properly to a speaker when you have a motive. Whether you want, supposing Krishnaji is speaking, we used to go to his meetings, but always with some desire. You have some unfulfilled desire, and you have an impression that he is a God man, and you think that by attending his meeting, your wish will be fulfilled. Not that he ever promised anything to anybody, but you have a feeling his very presence will bless you with fulfillment. So that type of motive interferes with actually listening to what he is speaking. So motives interfere with listening, with the seeing also. You can't see. So your perceptions are interfered with by these motives. Then is it possible to live without motives? I think it should be possible. Like Harshad ji has said, he sees so many nice things in the world. There are so many things in the world, but you can't have everything, you know. Firstly, you can't have. Secondly, even if you have them and bring them into your room becomes very cluttered. So there is no point at all in trying to own up everything, every nice thing, you know. So it is not that, well, that is the experience of all of us, you know. We all go to the market and see so many nice things, but there is actually no desire to possess them. So to that extent, I think you can live without motives. Or at least your motives will diminish. Your mind is not cluttered with so many motives or desires and all that. So motives come in the way of your perception, and we can, like Dinesh ji has said, it is like a vairagya. Motiveless functioning is like Krishna's nishkama karma, without karma, without a desire. So like that, whatever language we use, I think ultimately we move towards a motiveless functioning in our life. And nothing, it is not an impossible state to live without motives. Not that all motives will be removed, but you may have some remnant of a motive. But basically, you can see how motives come in the way of your perception, and you get them diminished, at least. Thank you, sir.
Archa sir.
Yeah. No motive, like this person had a motive to listen to Krishnamurti. So the motive comes first, and then one has to make the preparation to travel, to go to California or Switzerland, and then listening there. So motive means to plan beforehand. So, and this desire is which is comes in the present, and that desire can interfere, but motive is something, it has motive to do something is decided beforehand, few days before, or one, like where I used to book my room in Ojai motel 6 months in advance, because all the motels in Ojai, they used to get filled up during Krishnaji's talks because people were coming from all over the world. So if I have a motive to listen to Krishnamurti, it doesn't interfere. After motive, you have to do certain things. And then when the desire comes while listening, then it can interfere. Or while seeing something, a desire comes. So I think they are different in a way. Motive is deciding something beforehand. Like this person had decided to listen to Krishnamurti. And what is our motive in coming to these meetings, Zoom meetings? Do we have any motive why we come here? What is we have been meeting for 4 years now. What is our motive? Maybe we can talk about it. each one of us.
Harshad sir,
Yeah,
sir, to come into this meeting, we have to
Yeah.
understand ourselves and with our relationship with the other participants and the topic which is going on. That is the main motive. What for do I come here?
right.
So it may be common for the people as I think. So
Yeah,
we can go to other participant.
yeah, right.
Vimalji has. Vimalji, please continue.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Yeah. So,
Yes.
no, I just wanted to share that how Krishnamurti's teachings have helped me because this aspect of motive. I'll just give a personal example. I have a sibling with whom I had a strange relationship. I mean, it was not a fighting relationship, but it was not a perfect relationship because we are very different from each other. So there's always some sense of competition or proving oneself or seeking validation. But this time when I met her, I tried to be totally motiveless in the sense that every time there was a motive to improve the relationship. There was that motive at the back of everything. But when I just stopped that aspect of thinking and being aware of what I'm saying, is it hurtful? Being careful not to hurt, be careful not to do anything to antagonize. That relationship has blossomed now into something which I could not have dreamt of, which had, in so many years of having motive, never happened. And now it has happened without a motive. So I just wanted to share that. Okay, and another thing, for example, there are many moments in our lives when we are completely like empty, like there isn't anything which is exciting us. We don't know what's going on, what are we doing, what's our purpose. Especially if you read Krishnamurti, I mean, you are you pull yourself out of all groups, all kinds of things, and you kind of stay in a sort of an empty state, and then you want to run away from this emptiness. So obviously that running away from the emptiness is the reason again you seek all those things. But then I realized that if one stays with that emptiness, one stays without trying to run away, something happens, something which removes that emptiness, that sense, sense of dread or strange sense of emptiness. So I just wanted to share these two insights. Thank you.
Harshad sir.
Anybody else would like to speak?
Dinesh ji.
Regarding this Prasad sir's query, my views are, as JK said in this very clearly, motive means motion. So also, in case of passion, there is a motion. But the difference is in motive, more intellect is involved and less feelings and emotions are involved. Whereas in case of passion, intellect normally doesn't come into picture and the source of the passion is unknown. Most of the time it is unknown. So in that, feelings and emotions are more involved. In motive, some gain is involved, means some gain is expected, or there is a aim is involved. Whereas in passion, no such thing. In passion, you just enjoy the thing, what you are doing. So this is the remarkable difference. That's what I think. What Harshad sir has to say.
I think Pradeep ji likes to speak.
Yes. Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Harshad ji. Although Dinesh has touched a little bit of what I would like to share with you. The main point, what I picked up from this video is motive means motion, and motion requires energy. Let us go deep into it. What is motion? Physical motion, mental motion, thoughts running, And all these require a lot of energy. So naturally, when it becomes anything that becomes a problem and debatable, there is something wrong, something is felt, something is wrong. It becomes a question that people used to ask to JK. So motive, although he is not denying anything, very interestingly, motive or whatever you understand by motive, desire, and all that sensation, he is not denying anything. But it relates to the self, that is me, basically. It relates to the self in me. Wherever self is there, self, he is pretty clear. He is very clearly, he has told us, it is memory past. We are the past, he said. So we have to understand whether past is interfering right now in this moment, present moment. Anything is interfering in that, in the form of anything, usually memory, past, liking, insistence to have it again and again. All these things can always comparing with something in the past. Again, you are diverted. So his message is very clear that out of this, when it becomes desire, now naturally sensation is also conditioning. That is a subjective matter. We all get conditioned, some by one sense and other by other sense dominating. So it's quite based on my conditioning, sensation, and what meaning comes out of it, what thoughts come out of it, that sensation. So that is there, but it's a question of what is. Can you live with what is? Because again, what should be, it's a matter of time. It's psychological. It is desire based. So that is what it is. Whether you are able to see what is and not what should be. That also he has covered a number of times. So his message is very clear. Then he talks of attention, he talks of learning. Learning is only possible when I know that I don't know. So you have to be humble. I know that I don't know. So in a way, the entire past goes out. When I say I don't know, virtually the entire past is not disturbing me. And I am passionate enough to know something either as a problem or surroundings, everything. So learning takes place in the present. So these are some of the points I wanted to share with friends. And the message is very clear. Nothing is denied. Everything, because when we say intellectual, intelligence, intellectual, so we go on, you see, dividing, and that requires motion, and that is a depletion of energy. So one has to see whether his energy level or his peace level of mental peace is there to see things as it is, without having a sense of possession to possess it. So then your energy levels are will be not depleting. You will be in a much energized phase in all conditions. That is what I think. Thank you very much for giving me time. Thank you very much, sir.
Rajendran would like to speak.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Harshad ji.
Yeah.
Just while I was listening to the discussions, and just something has come to my mind, and just I want to share it. Is it my voice is able to clear? Able to hear? I'm
Yeah,
clear?
yes. Yeah, yes.
The, the thought is motive. As long as we thought moves, somebody told motive is motion. Yes, movement, movement of thought, maybe. So whenever a thought is there, there will be motive. Whether in the case of love and compassion and intelligence, there is no thought. So whether love and if you do anything out of love or compassion or out of intelligence, it will have no motive. There will not be any motive. So thought is motive. Desire is also motive. The desire to have the pleasure again and again, the same pleasurable sensations again and again. That is also past. So motive, desire, everything is past because they are thought. So if somebody does something out of love or compassion or out of their intelligence, we are always surprised why this man is doing like that. What is his motive? So unless until we find some motive in for his action, we will be restless. So the thought comes in, the thought does some extra work and attribute some motive for that other person's actions, which may be out of love or compassion or intelligence. So unless and until I find a motive for somebody's actions, I will be restless because I cannot do such things without any motive. So that's why we attribute motives for others' actions. That the others' actions may be out of love or compassion or intelligence, which has no motive. As long as thought moves, as long as the thought interprets, there will always be motive. If somebody does something without any motive, we cannot accept it. We will spend all our energy to imagine or guess or find some motive. Then only our mind we will be peaceful. So that's I want to share it. Thank you.
Harshad sir.
Yeah. If you are traveling in a train, the train is moving, you are moving. So there's a motion there. It's a physical motion. But when you are sitting in the train, you are thinking something. So there's a thinking is going on. So this moving of the train, physical motion, is not a problem. And then in your mind, thoughts are when you are looking out of the window and you are looking at the trees or mountains, there may be thought. That is also a psychological motion, but that is also not a problem, I would say. Only when there is a duality happens between what is and what should be, that you make a comment about a mountain you see, then you are really not looking at the mountain. So there is a psychological motion and physical motion, and physical motion is not a problem. The psychological motion is not a problem, but it becomes a problem when there is a duality. Out of thinking comes the thinker who says that I like it, I don't like it. Otherwise, even thinking can move, just moving with what is. And sometimes, even this idea, this thought comes what should be, that is also a part of what is actually, because that what should be is also coming from your thinking. So even seeing that what is what should be, but moving with it, no problem. Problem happens when there is duality happens. I like it, I don't like it, like that. So this is very, very difficult to understand in words, but when we experiment with this in our daily life and with great attention, like we can listen to Krishnamurti with great attention, but are we able to listen to our own mind with such attention to look? Then we don't even need to listen to Krishnamurti, because what Krishnamurti says, you will say that it is obvious what he is saying, that when there is a silence, you are not distracted, you can see things clearly, you can listen things clearly. So everything what Krishnamurti says is like when there is a light, there is no darkness, which is very, very obvious. So most of the things which Krishnamurti is talking about is very obvious if you can begin to see in your own self. And then there will be no dependence also on Krishnamurti books and discussion, because something is going on inside you all the time, and that becomes looking inward, becomes like reading the book of our own life and learning directly, not from the book, other like Gita or Krishnamurti or other Buddhist book, but learning by looking within and with great attention, with passion. So I think in that, then we can begin to understand everything what other people are talking about. Okay, I have finished.
Dinesh Waghmare.
Are you able to hear my voice?
Yes.
Yes.
In motive, actually, always some mechanical energy is involved, like automotive. We say automotive, word automotive comes from self motion. Further, what Google says, that also we have to consider. You have to motivate the person. Means that person is not interested, or he is having frustration, or he is having depression, or whatever it is. So you have to motivate him. So actually, as far as spirituality is concerned, passion is involved there. Even Arvind says ardent desire should be there, or very keen interest should be there. Whereas here, when in motivation, personal interest, the desire for achievement or success, the need for recognition or approval, or the desire to make a positive impact on world, means all it is related to the external world mainly, means to have something with external world. You have to impress the external world, or you have to do something, you have to achieve something in the external world. That also we have to consider. Thank you.
Pradeep Verma ji.
Yes, very interesting. Harshad Bhai used a very interesting word, that experiment it. So there immediately it clicked to me, if experimenter is there, experimenter means myself. And that means a lot. In fact, seeing things as they are, or experimenting, I am experimenting to achieve a certain thing. Usually, when you experiment, there is some notion about what may appear or may not appear, or what may come out of this. So if experimenter is there, then it becomes all the more difficult as per my thinking. Then Dinesh is talking about one can motivate others or someone, your friend, your family member, anybody. But you can only motivate when you have this capacity to see things as they are yourself. When you could see in that person, in your child, in your friend, what is happening, what is the potential inherent in this man or woman or whatever it is, then only you can motivate. Look, friend, this is the best coming out of it. Do it, and you will have fulfillment. So this is that way. It is interesting. You can motivate only if I have seen it myself, and this is true to a large extent. Thank you very much.
Sajji would like to speak.
Prasad ji.
Sir, I just wanted to say, Rajendran Saab has said, if you are acting out of love or intelligence, then you are acting without motives. Similarly, Dinesh ji has said, if there is a nishkam karma, that is, you don't really, you are not attached to the result of your action, then also there is motiveless action. So, what we have to see is, I think both of them are driving at the same thing. When you are not driven by desire or motive, then there is action out of love. You are listening out of love. Similarly, you are acting out of love. And that seems to me quite a sensible approach. Motive and desire, they come in the way of acting with love. They interfere with that. That is my impression. Thank you, sir. That's all.
Dinesh, you would like to speak.
Harshad sir always says, if you are having a deep curiosity or a sincere curiosity, then you can get the right direction. So, what is the relation between motive and curiosity? Curiosity doesn't seem to have any source as such. You may have curiosity, I don't have curiosity. I may be having curiosity in some other direction or about something else. Whereas you may be having curiosity about freedom. So, whereas motive is, as earlier we said, it is related to the external world mainly, gain in the external world, which may be common for many people. So this is also to be considered. That's what I think.
Yeah. Yes. What I talk about is motiveless curiosity. A curiosity which has no motive, it is just looking. And in that there is real beauty, love, everything. When your mind is not interested in gathering knowledge and making some concept out of it, but real looking, what Krishnaji would call no division between the observer and the observed. And similarly, in looking, also there is no division between me and my thinking like that, It's just a thinking. The thinking is moving by itself, but it's possible to observe it not through thinking, but through something other than thinking or feeling, and that what Krishnaji would call awareness. So when this awareness comes in our observation, then everything becomes very interesting. Then even studying many subjects, it becomes interesting, because then the mind is very much goes in the right direction. There is no inner conflict like students. They don't like to study, but they force themselves to study because there is an examination coming. So, and then there is a fear, and then there is a lot of complications, a lot of energy is wasted. But if the mind is very, very silent, aware, curious, and then it can go into mathematics or physics or other subjects also. So, with awareness, the conflict comes to an end. Only seeing what is, and even this what should be is a part of what is. So the whole thing is moving. Our mind is moving by itself. We are not thinking, but there is a possibility to see it, and sometimes even that movement of thinking stops. It stops by itself. You can't try to make it stop your mind. But when there is looking, not trying to change it, then it may stop by itself. And so in that, there are great beauty exists in such a way of looking. And so this motivation is a curiosity, a motiveless curiosity. That is what. Not in order to become silent, but you are just interested in looking. And nobody is forcing you to do it. Not even your own self forcing to look because you want to achieve something. So this Dinesh talks about achieving something. There is nothing to achieve, only to see, and in that seeing there is beauty. And out of that you can write a poem or paint a picture or sing or do some research or whatever. And that achievement in some field like music or painting is secondary. The real thing is that state of creativity, silent looking, out of which all this everything is flowing beautifully, naturally. Okay, I have finished. Thank you.
Pradeep ji wanted to
just a few sentences, because I've heard Rajendran ji and Prasad ji both. It sounds very well when we think that whatever you do out of love will always be good. Now, JK talked about unconditional love. So automatically he was out that way, clearly. How do I know that whatever is happening to me is out of love? And how do we say that whatever he is doing is also out of love? So it is so, whether there are certain symptoms associated with love or not love. So love has remained it's quite enigmatic. It's still love. Do I really love? Whether do I love? I am always in love, or whether all these questions are not easy for me to say something about, because nothing can be said about love. But frequently we use this term that if you do it out of love, it is good. But I see most of us living a life like most of all of us are living a similar type of life, but using these phrases or these words. This is what happens, because the things have not changed. One has to see himself, whether every time all my actions are out of love, which I know about, which I feel about, it has something to do with sensation or not. It cannot be pleasure. He has done so many things he has negated. It's not love, is not that, love is not that. So many. So like that, it is easy to use love word, but it's still very enigmatic. It's still very mysterious word. Whether Meera or Krishna's love, is that love? So anyway, this is what little I wanted to share.
Lakshmi ji. Lakshmi Mandaleeka ji.
Namaste to everybody. Generally, motiveless action is our original state. As Pradeep ji is saying, love is our original state, but the thought is covering our original state. Because of thought, only motive is coming. There is no thought, no motive. And as no thought means that we are in our original state. That is our state, love, compassion, and the oneness. This is all the state, our basic state. So when there is a motive, it is obstructing us to be in our own state. And actually, if we have awareness, everything is done. We are not doing anything. But because of lack of awareness, we identify ourselves with the body and we think that I am doing. So motivelessness is the result of total awareness. The motive is coming when I identify myself with the body and I think, then everything comes, my desire or something. So the motivelessness is the original state, and there only we experience the happiness, bliss, everything, and we can understand when the mind is still, everything is done. That supreme intelligence works in a perfect way. We need not do anything, but because of the interference of the thought, all these things are happening. Thank you.
Shakti ji. Shakti ji, do you want to say something?
Yes, sir. It is true that love is, one can never say whether one is in a state of love or not. But it is possible to notice if one is unaware or not.
Yes.
If one is inattentive or not. And that noticing is important because it does bring some sort of shift. It may not be continuous. One can again slip into inattention and unawareness. But it is always possible to notice this unawareness. That is just I wanted to say. Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Harshad sir.
Yeah, the person who really loves, he never says that I am loving and action is coming out. But it is a state in which you don't know anything, but the thing comes out spontaneously. Like you can say Krishna ji or Buddha, when they are speaking, it comes from clarity without that feeling that I am doing it. It comes by itself. So love is like that, a spontaneous action without this me doing it. And this can happen. The person doesn't know it, he doesn't say it, but it can happen, by itself. So that is the real beauty, I think. Not to say anything, but live a life without and watching everything whatever is happening, and speaking from the heart, not from the mind, not from the concepts we have collected from reading books. So that can happen, I think. Right. Thank you.
Pradeep ji, do you wanted to say something?
Yeah, something. Because what problem is when we try to explain love. So what we are saying, it is that original state. It is not this. It is not karta bhav. It is not that doership is not there. So all these things, you see, right now when I am telling I am in love, I am right now knowing the meaning in whatever way I have taken these words in me. All these words are there right now and alive in myself, in my consciousness. So is it the state of love?
What is not love, sir?
I'm trying to explain what love is. As words, which are definitely different for different states. I have heard these things from so many people that there should not be doership. Understandable, so because prarabdha and all, everything is related to that. I have done it, so naturally rest of it follows with you. So these things are there, but when we explain something, it becomes extremely difficult. The type of life we are living, the type of challenges we have around, and the state we are explaining in words as love. So these things will never come to my mind when actually if JK said it once, either you love or you don't love. There are people who are in love. It cannot be manipulated. It cannot be cultivated. It cannot be given by anyone. So by nature, there are people who are compassionate automatically. This is a part of love for all. When you realize you are the world, so realization that way we can see in me, basically, that will tell so many things. Thank you very much.
Prasad, you would like to...
Yes, sir. Just one
Yeah.
or two words,
Yeah.
because we're at the end, actually.
Right. Yeah.
Love is a state which cannot be defined. And possibly you do not know when you are in that state of love. You yourself do not know.
Right.
But sir, there is one indication. If you are really in love and acting out of that, there is an impact. The other guy feels it. I think most of the time when you are acting out of your love, the other person, he feels it. He also feels it when you are in a state of non-love, that is in a state of egotism and all that. He can feel the impact. And even a child feels it. The child feels the mother's love. It doesn't go to a rich man, even if he wants to hug her, that child. He doesn't go. It goes only to the mother. So like that, out of the impact of that state, we can see whether it is. But a person who is actually in love, he doesn't realize it, that he is in love and all that.
Prasad, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sir, time is limited.
Yeah.
So Dinesh ji wanted to something. So one last comment from him, if he is able to comment in a brief way.
I would like to say only one thing. We normally use the word state loosely, but state means always duality. Actually, when we say love, love happens, means it's an event, actually. If I have to use the closest word. But when we say state of a mind, always you can experience a state of mind. So, Miss I is always involved in that. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
So it is
Okay.
already 7:30, past 7:30. So
Right.
thanks all for participation.
Thank
Let's say
you.
good night.